Frog legs. First, start with a large hook, here a 1/0 3366 BR Mustad. Then go ahead and firmly place it in your vise. Then, load a bobbin with flat wax nylon, here Danville 210 denier. Start your thread behind the eye and wrap back, securing the tag end before cutting it off. Then create a thread base from behind the hook eye to the point of the hook. Now go to some medium round rubber white legs. Without separating all the little individual fibers, go ahead and pick about 4 or 5 away from the rest, and go ahead and pull that down about 5 inches. And then cut it free from the bunch. And then go ahead and fold it over, aligning the tips, and cut it in half. You should get about 2 separate pieces, about 2 to 3 inches. Now go to some 2mm green foam, or in the color of your choice. About 1 centimeter, maybe a little more, closer to 1 inch in width, go ahead and cut about 2 to 3 inches off. Then go ahead and fold that over and cut it in half. You will be folding these 2 sections over too. Now take the rubber leg sections and the foam and put a crease in one of the foam pieces halfway through. And on one of the inner sides, go ahead and drop a good amount of super glue. Right there in the middle. No need to go along the edges, as it'll just push out. Then go ahead and press one of the rubber leg sections up to the crease right in the middle of the fold. And go ahead and fold the foam down and set the glue. You should get it with this kind of fat T head shape. And then do the exact same thing to the second piece of foam and rubber leg. Wipe off any excess glue that there is, with your fingers, or a bodkin, or any spare napkin. Now with your legs, go ahead and take your scissors. From one of the outer corners, cut down towards the rubber legs, making sure not to cut the rubber legs, and do the same to this side, so you're given with a triangle pointing towards the rubber legs. And then on one of the sides, or in the middle, go ahead and make a point. This will be the first kind of toe of the frog's foot. And do the same to the opposite. So you get kind of like a serrated edge. You can do this either way. You can either start with the outside or start with the inside. It doesn't really matter. But kind of like cut 2 triangles, each on one side of the middle of the foam square. Now go back to your hook. Measure a length about 1 hook shank in length, and then place it on the far side, angled towards the far side of the hook. The foam foot should extend about a hook shank in length past the hook point. And do the same to the second leg, but this time angle it towards you, so you kind of get a splayed leg at the back of the hook. Make sure to keep the rubber legs on top of the hook, as if they rotate around the shank, it will mess up the curvature of the legs. Then go ahead and cut the excess butt rubber legs off. Now go back to the same color foam. This time, go ahead and cut a wider section, maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches in width. And again, cut down about 3 or 4 inches. And go to one of the sides and to one of the corners, cut at a shallow angle to the back, towards the center of the foam. And do the same to the other side. So you kind of get this uneven quadrilateral kind of shape of foam. Now go to your hook. With the skinnier section pointed towards the hook eye, go ahead and tie that down on top of the hook shank. And wrap back towards just before the point of the hook. Make sure it folds over nicely. It doesn't disrupt the legs. Now go ahead and put a couple drops of super glue to save the progress thus far, and to keep the foam from spinning around. Now go to some Grande Estes, here in root beer. Go ahead and strip a couple of the fibers off, exposing cotton core. Then go ahead and tie the cotton core down at the tie-in spot before the hook point. And start making kind of open spiral, but close wraps up the hook shank, pushing the fibers back as you go. Once you get about an eye or two away from the hook eye, go ahead and tie the chenille off. And cut the excess free. Push all the fibers back and give a couple more wraps of thread. Splay all the fibers out, making sure they're not trapped. Now go ahead and fold the foam over the body and tie it down behind the hook eye, making sure not to cut the foam with your thread. Then push it up, and with just a little fold sticking just past the hook eye, go ahead and tie that back, leaving you a nice kind of rounded gurgler style head. Now go to some 2mm red foam. And with the same width, about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, go ahead and cut down. No need to make it that big. About 1 inch to 1.5 inches is fine. Now go ahead and tie that on the bottom of the fly. You may invert your vise. Then kind of fold it over to just shy of the already folded over green hood. This will kind of give it a popping head and will push more water. Make sure the foam is secure without cutting it, and then go ahead and whip finish your thread, making sure to keep your thread on that same core, not covering any more foam. Then go ahead and cut your thread off. Then, with the excess foam protruding towards the hook point, go ahead and cut that shallow, and then round it off. Now go to some small googly eyes, and pick 2 up. Now place a drop of super glue on the far side, and press one of the eyes onto it, making sure to not stick your finger to the fly. A bodkin might be useful. And then do the same to the far side. Once the glue is set, the fly is done.